Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Bartley here, and we're going to do something a little bit different today. I have my good friend Maxwood Annulus. He goes by the name of Max, and we are going to do a live strategy session. So those of you that have done this with me, you kind of know the magic sauce, so to speak, that some may convincingly think that I have. And I really don't really have that, you know. But what I do have is the capability of listening actively, and then just kind of in a man. I'm really boosting myself up here, Max. I just realized that that's what I'm doing right now. Like in
Just
a
go on, man.
so it's like who's the character in A Beautiful Mind? Russell, what's his name? It's not Kurt Russell.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. In kind of that way that he pieces things together, some of us have the ability to do that. Maxwood actually has this ability in his writing. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down with Max today, and we're going to discuss how he can take the skill set, the gift that he has, and maybe scale it maybe just a little bit so that he can either increase more readership for what he's doing or maybe get to his next book successfully. How does that sound, Max?
Sounds good to me.
All right, all right. So the first step that we're going to do is I want to just listen and to hear a few things. The first question that I would have for you, and by the way, guys, so this is live, right? This is not something that's rehearsed, and every method is different. There is a framework for each of these, but I just want to give you guys like the three-step process to how this really works and why most coaches do very well or why most consultants do very well. We get down to the bottom of what's the goal. Like, what is it that you really want to do? Some people say, yeah, I just want to make a lot of money. But what do you really want, right? And at the end of the day, you realize it's not money. Most times it's making an impact or, influencing somebody in a sphere of realm, a sphere of influence. It can be so many different things. Money is just the way to get there. So, yeah, so that's the first one. But the second one is there's so many different ways to actually make that thing possible. So we're going to try to ideate live how to do that. And then the last one is maybe choosing one and seeing if we can hold Max accountable. But we'll see. We'll see how we'll see how that last piece works there. So Max, tell me about you as a person. This is also your time to do a shameless plug. You did publish a book recently, not too long ago. So, definitely talk about that a little bit. And then I'm going to segue you into what do you want or what do you envision? What do you want to see for 2021? And let's see if we can probably build a system around that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, I published a book 2 years ago, August 22nd, 2018, and my debut book, Spotted to Spotless. And it was an interesting journey for me to write because all of my life I had no intentions of being a writer. That wasn't the thing that I dreamed of being when I was a kid. I wanted to be an athlete, and I also kind of wanted to be a businessman because the concept of Wall Street guys dressing in suits and carrying briefcase every day looked cool to me when I was a kid. But that wasn't something I was like really into. But sports definitely, fitness definitely. And around 21, I just kind of wrote a story, man, and I sent it to this magazine that we have in our church circle, where they do it for teens to read those stories that they want to connect with them up through, and they accepted the story. And I was like, well, if a national magazine is
Yeah.
willing to take the story that I wrote, then must not be too bad. So that sparked that interest, which eventually turned into a passion and eventually turned into something that I wanted for purpose. And then ultimately, the will and idea to write a book came about, and just kind of been dedicating myself to that craft since then to make sure that the stories that I want to tell are ones that will indeed connect with people. But through that, I learned that all along, even though I had no interest in writing per se,
Hmm.
I was always a storyteller. I was always someone who liked to tell stories. I was always someone just kind of like just like to take you in and give you all the details. Some of us tell stories is like who, what, when, and where, and we kind of done with that. I'm the kind of
Yeah.
person I need to give you the background. I need to tell you da 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 da. Da. So that's always been in me, and realized that writing just kind of gave me that ability to do that. and also explore my creative side, because I have a great admiration for creativity, but I always thought, well, I can't draw,
Mm.
I can't paint,
Yeah.
or at least I'm not good at them. Uh, I can't play musical instruments, so I always thought that I can't be an art, I can't be artistic. But my writing allows me to express the artistry, and that's really what kind of got me going with them. And so, yeah, definitely, wrote that first book, published, working on a second now, and there's the ideas for more. So this is definitely an avenue that I want to use to tell stories that will be impactful, for people that get to read them.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So, question for you now is, how do you? What's been your biggest struggle? I think let's start there. What's been your biggest challenge? By the way, so guys, just so that you know, I'm kind of breaking the fourth wall in between here, even though this is a conversation between me and Max. He hasn't filled out a questionnaire or anything like that, so we're kind of just freestyling this so that we can kind of get to the heart of what you want to do. So before I ask what your greatest struggle is, what's the end game? So you definitely know that writing is it for you. Um, what do you want to accomplish? Let's say within the next 3 to 6 months. Maybe for the next year. Maybe you already have a goal by December 2021. I want to do this. What's that look like for you?
I'll say the most immediate goal right now, writing wise, is to finish the second book I'm working on, finish and publish it.
Okay.
That's the main goal, right now. And with the first book, I didn't really give myself a deadline per se, because it was kind of like my first time and I was still trying to figure things out.
Mm.
But this time I've given myself a bit of a deadline of saying, hey, the end of the year, to finish at least, and realizing the end of the year is much closer.
Definitely.
It's much, much
Right,
closer
right.
than I thought.
Yeah.
But definitely want to do that. So I'll say the immediate goal,
Mm.
um, you know, not even 3 months, but 3 to 6 months, is to finish, publish, and get the opportunity to put it out, the same way I was able to put the first one out there. Um, yeah.
Okay. Now, do you already know who this particular book is going to be for?
Uh, Target audience would definitely be, um, people of sort of 18 to like 35 age group. Um, just a little sneak peek. The title of the book is Dear Older Self.
Okay.
So it's me as I am right now, writing to my future self.
Mm.
So definitely people who are in that range as well, of uh, young adult to adulthood, low level adulthood, who are uh, in that space where we can see both the past but also looking forward to the future.
Hmm.
And there might be questions that we have, things that we want to make sure that we establish, things that we want to make sure that we have in place that will ensure us to have a um, better future. So definitely, I would say that age range, um, would be the primary target audience.
Okay. So we're looking at the young adult, emerging adult, young adult age range. This is definitely dealing with. Let's go with the personal development genre. Maybe personal growth. Would you say would be
Yeah, yeah.
okay? If not, just let me know because I'm just trying to create a framework here.
No, no.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll put there personal dev, personal growth. Okay. So now, how many books? We're online, so maybe you might not want to share that. Let's frame it in a different way. Have you sold more books to people that you've known? Because you self-published the first one, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So has it been more people that you've known that have purchased your books, or has it been more of the people who you people you don't know. And if it's more of the people you don't know, in what capacity? Because I know that you were doing both. You know, you had some online, you had the online presence, and then you also had, you know, hardcovers. Um,
Yeah, it's been most definitely, overwhelmingly people that I know.
okay. Okay.
Overwhelmingly, even the people that I didn't necessarily know, these are people that were connected to people I knew.
Gotcha.
That would say, hey, you know, my friend wrote something, like, you know, you should definitely get it, or I'll go somewhere and be introduced to someone by someone else. So
Okay.
yeah, overwhelmingly people that I know.
Okay, cool. So you have a strong, I would say that you have a strong network. For those of you that don't know Max, he is that guy. Like he is definitely sociable, and he can get you talking, man. He can get you feeling real comfortable and allow you to open up and give you insight. So, and that's why I appreciate about our friendship, man, that we were able to do that for each other. So that being said, though, this is interesting. You have the second book coming out. I'm gonna propose something. The challenge is not going to be the second book. Let's make the challenge acquiring more readers. So, with that being said, what if we try to expand the readership beyond just your, let's do like the degrees like they have in LinkedIn. The first degree is the direct connection, second degree are the mutual friends, third degree is people that you don't know. Let's say we try to expand this thing to the third degree, right? Because another question that I have for you is, amongst the people that you knew, and was the first book also for the age range of 18 to 35, or was that more of a broader scope?
It was broader. It was broader.
Okay.
It don't broader.
Okay. So this one
Yeah.
is going to be definitely more specific, and we can actually get a little bit more specific, 18 to 35, depending on, you know, uh, who we're connecting with. It may seem a little bit still too broad, but for now we can just say it is the young adult genre for sure. Um, what do you think we can do? And this is just some ideas here. What do you think that we can do between now and even before the book is published, so that we can start expanding the readership beyond just the first and second degree connections that you have right now?
Oh man, this is probably not probably. This is definitely where I need help most.
Yes. Now
Because
we're somewhere. Now we're there. We're at the spot. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about that.
yeah, man, I can write till the cows come home, but marketing and promotion is definitely an Achilles heel, man.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, the
So this is
writing
interesting. This is interesting because we could probably end this call by saying, yeah, you know, all you need to do is just, you know, create a blog post, which you have, or create a blog, just consistently, you know, post once a week, twice a week, maybe every day, and capture the leads. We can go down that road and this discussion will be done in a few minutes. But what if we took a different approach here? Okay, so here's what I want to do. Man, I wish I was prepared to share my screen so that we can just do some scribbling. And maybe, you know what, Max, I think we might be able to still do that. So let's see here. I'm going to try to pull this up. And let's see if this will work. It may not work. Let me see if I can grab this right quick. Hold on one second. All right. Okay, let's see. Might be able to do this because you know what? One of the things that we can do is, as I'm setting up, I want to know, what have you done already in this regard, trying to build your readership? Because I mean, this is stuff as a writer you already know. As a matter of fact, here's what I would say, and I think this is probably what my next piece is going to be about. Writers are the closest thing to being entrepreneurs without necessarily having to be an entrepreneur. There are people that can have full-time jobs and still be writers. There can be, you know, writers who write and publish, but don't necessarily expect to build an empire or a business around their writing. They just like, you know, receiving their payment or their royalties here and there, but it's not a sustainable model. If they write, they get paid, so it's more of it's not a scalable business, right? And the reason why I say that is because, have you ever seen, let me see if I can find it. And then I'm going to share my screen. Have you ever seen this, like the day in the life of an entrepreneur? Have you ever
Nah.
seen, okay, so we're going to go through, a couple examples here. And I think that I can give you a really, really great example with this one here. And I think you'll probably appreciate this one. A day in the life of an entrepreneur. Okay. Let's go ahead and share my screen right quick. And okay, do you see that?
Yeah.
Do you see how that starts? I'm excited. I think that's when the new idea comes, right? We're excited and it's like, oh, yo, that would be such a great thing to write about. So we start out there, but then we're like, okay, how do I even begin to frame and to formulate these thoughts?
Right.
It's such a
Right.
painstaking experience. We may even start with the outline, right? and this, we're done for the day. Like, okay, that was enough in itself. Or try to do an introduction, and many of us skip the intro and just try to get into the meat of it. Somehow we get into the, okay, I'm feeling my rhythm. All right, I'm good. It's working. And then we go back down again. Like, oh, okay, this thing needs to be edited because I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, right? Then it's, okay, let's give up the good for the great. We have some good points. We have some good points in this article or in this piece that we're writing. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove those and let me focus on the really, really, maybe the ones that have been researched the most, or, you try to formulate or to refine those points because you're like, these are a little bit weak. So maybe we don't throw it away. And I think a lot of us, we may not, we painstakingly try not to throw away some of our, those pieces in the article. We really try to make it work, right? But if it doesn't, we then cut it out. And actually, these are some of my best pieces is when I just take out chunks. I'm like, yeah, we don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. This is just fluff. And then somehow we get down to this part again, whether it's bankrupt in time, whether it's like, yeah, I don't know. Then we go up again. I'm good. I don't know why I get so down on myself. Like this is, the piece is almost done. It looks good. I'm almost done with the introduction. I can't figure out the title. I was wrong. I suck at this, And then, wait a second, my life is great. And there's so many different versions of a day in the life of an entrepreneur. There are versions that I've seen where, they say the success is a straight line. That's what people think, but then in real life, it's like all squiggly. And I think that it's, so I think it's the same thing here where entrepreneurs, writers go through an entrepreneurial experience in every piece that they have to publish. So that one timeline is about a business working, right? Or maybe a project. But man, I think if you're a consistent writer, how it's almost like a sadist process. It's a sadistic process.
It really is.
Man. It's the pain of saying, okay, I know I can write. I know I've done this before. I'm good at what I do. But man, I suck right now trying to articulate the thoughts or the idea that came to me. But let's keep going. And, there's this up and down, up and down, up and down. So you actually have a lot of entrepreneurial experience right now. That's what I want to say. And not only that, but because you also mentioned, well, you didn't mention it, but you are also a personal trainer. So some of us are predisposed to not work in a traditional, 9-to-5 or corporate structure. Nothing is wrong with that. Some of us, do both. And some just say, I'm just going to go all in this one side. I'm going to try to build, as difficult as it may be, but I know that in the long run, it's going to work out. So saying all of that, I want to pull up, for those of us that go through this process, and let me see if I can find it here. we are going to create, let's do this in live time, guys. So right now what I'm doing is I'm actually going to create an actual, let's call it Zoom strategy sessions. I'm creating a live book right now in Microsoft OneNote, and it might get buggy. I'm not sure how this is going to work. So let's see what happens. Okay. And going to put your name here, Maxwood. And what I want to do is I want us to talk about, let's see, I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this works out. Let's see here. We are going to do. All right. Okay. Can you see me? I mean, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
There's something called, and just like you said, you don't know how to draw. I don't know how to draw either. There's something called the business model
Nice.
canvas. And you might have seen this before. Looks something like this. Ah, oh, this is terrible, but we're going to rock with it. We're going to rock with it. And this first piece right here, if my memory serves me correctly, is your customer segments. This second piece is your customer relationships. Let's say customer relationships. This third piece here, oh, there's a piece at the bottom too. This is the piece that matters the most, and I'll tell you why. So this piece right here is your channel. I don't know why that's a D, but channel. Oh, that's why, because I was thinking distributions. Boy, people are gonna have a hard time if they're looking at this later on. Revenue, it's got to make money. Cost. This side is your partnerships, key partnerships, okay? So your key partners, this is your key activities, and this is your key resources, all right? But this part right here in the middle, oh man, this is so important, is your unique value proposition. So the whole goal is to take your unique value proposition, which is your gift, and to bring it over to your customer segments. And the way that you do that is through your channel distribution. Make sense?
Okay.
Cool. All right. So here's what we're going to do, Maxwood. We're now going to take this model and try to figure out a sustainable way on making your goal of increasing your readership more systemic. Okay. All right, great. So I guess, you know what, let's go to another page. So let me bring this up here. So let's make this work. So your first customer, or your main customer segment, young adults, yeah? Okay. Young adults. Now, what would you say is the unique value proposition of the, now some people may argue, what is Chris doing? This is not how it works, but this is the beauty of innovation. We take this stuff and we make the model fit around what we think might or might not work. And if it does, this would be amazing. So, but mind you, it's not, you know, for those of you that are watching, like, so am I going to pay you to try to figure stuff out as we go along? No, what you are paying me for is the frameworking that you're actually doing, right? So it's the same thing like Maxwood, they'll be paying you they're paying you in advance to create the book because they've seen the work that you've done before, you know? So something very similar. So what would you consider your unique value proposition for this book? What would make it different from all of the personal development books that are out there?
I think most people write to their younger self.
Okay.
The reason why I chose to write this one is because I'm writing to my older self.
Okay. So it's definitely personal development. I'm going to put this at the bottom. it's a book. But what else? I think there might be more. What if,
Transparency.
okay, we've got transparency. Now we've got people who are transparent, you know. We've got a lot of transparent books out there. Love Brene Brown's material, you know. So that's definitely something. I like this idea of a letter. What if before, because remember now, the goal is to increase your readership. So what if you were able to create some sort of letter community or something that now we're going to ideate together here. So it's going to probably sound, you know, it may even sound a little bit imbecile, but that's okay. We're brainstorming here. What if you were able to create some sort of group of people who, you know, all they did were they were fascinated with letters, or you created a way for people to email you letters where, you know, it's like, hey, listen, dear me, like you have these, I don't know, maybe these dear me letters, or what do you think would make your UVP that you would then bring? Remember now, you're bringing this to them. What would they probably be hooked into before? How about this? You know, I'm not on Facebook right now, but you have the capacity, the ability to be humorous. You're a humorous person. I should have just said that. You have the capacity to be. You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. Maybe there's a way to use the humor in creating or crafting letters so that people are kind of primed for like the ultimate book that's like the ultimate letter for, you know, when it comes. What do you think about that? How do you think we might be able to work that into it?
That's actually a brilliant idea, because this, along the line, the spirit of what you're proposing is something that I was thinking of when I release it to then on social media, as I release and stuff like that, ask people, what would you like to tell your older self? And they get the opportunity to share what they would like to tell their older self in a more succinct way. But now, you know, with the whole letter idea, that can even be expanded to actually, you know, people actually taking a little bit more time and actually write to their older self, whether they choose to share it or not, but to really think about that. And I also see it as maybe something that I can say, hey, share with me what you'd like to tell your older self. And as highlights in the book, these are things that I can choose a few of them and just like highlight in the book. Like as I write my story, you know, in whatever personal corner, from CD, CD wrote, I want to tell my older self such and such. So kind of like including their input on it. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. You know what? So I have two ideas here. You're talking about outlining. Medium actually gives the capability for readers to actually highlight stuff in the actual book. Like you can actually highlight certain texts. Feeling myself now. I'm feeling like I really got some capability there. That's a highlighting pen. So you might be able to encourage those, and this might be kind of difficult, but you'd have to have a strong readership, a strong and engaged readership for people to not just read, but to engage in it, because you can actually see who highlighted it. If you're followers of them, it'll say such and such highlighted it, such and such highlighted it. What if we did this too, though? What if you had like a continuous letter, and you started out with a dear me, and this dear me is dear me for anybody? So kind of mixing your idea where I write a piece of the story for me, about me. Somebody else writes a piece of the story about them. somebody
Yo,
else
that is
writes a piece of the story about the, and so like they're continuing a story. These are just initials, made up initials, you know, and
Mhm.
at the end, it's one whole letter that somehow compiles into who this me is. You just get people on
Wow.
Facebook or, you know, and as they continue writing, you find a way to stitch it together. And maybe every week or at the end of the week or at the end of the day, you post it up, you know, a new version of it with additional things. So maybe people don't want to do it publicly, so they send it to you under an alias or they send it to you
Right,
anonymously.
right, right.
You just kind of put it in. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I even,
Okay.
man, I can't even see that because, see, what you just proposed now,
Mhm.
with that right there, instead of like, okay, instead of doing the quotation like within my own like writing
Yeah.
and stuff like that, what I can do now is take this dear me continuous letter. Well, for the book, it wouldn't be continuous, but let's just say for the book, like let's say I take a week,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I say this week I am receiving just two sentences of what you want to say to your older self,
Okay.
and then like they take all of those and stitch them together, and that's something that I can put at the end of the book.
I like that.
I
So
tell my story, but then here is this letter composed by 20 whatever amount of people of what we want to say to our future selves.
right.
So that can be in the book because one of the cool things I got a chance to do with the first book, and for my own consideration, one of the coolest things I've done writing was to the title of each chapter all together formed a poem.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to include those sort of like very creative little things that even within a book you have this other piece of writing that you can just kind of take. Even if
Yeah.
you took it by itself from the book, it would still be able to be a piece of writing that can stand on its own two legs.
Mm. Okay.
So I can definitely see the whole Dear Me compilation letter as something that I can actually put into the book, maybe at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and have that, and then the the online aspect of continuing um, this thing can continue too. Like it doesn't have to stop at the book. It
Right.
can continue where it can continue to go down online. I like that. I like that.
So we've got we've got the physical book,
Right.
then you've got the digital community, then you've got the personal quotes that will be added, right, in the physical
Right.
book, right?
Right.
And then for a physical book, and then maybe there's one more piece that we might be missing. So let's go back. So this is what we have so far. So what we've got so far is, now that you have this, you have a book. It's not the book that's being delivered for these to these young adults. It's this
Right.
piece that you're talking about here. It's transparency, but what if it was
Mm-hmm.
collaborative
Mm-hmm.
transparency? So now that this transparency is collaborative, you now start to build a system around that, right? You say, okay, every day or once a week, I'm going to create something that allows people to come in and add to it. So that even if the
Mm-hmm.
book is separate and you say, I want this book just to be about what I say, they would at least feel included in the process of you even creating a book where you even open up in the community. And they're like, wow, you know what? I want to see this book now. Either
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I might see my,
I'm in it.
my piece in there,
Yeah.
or
I'm in it.
either,
I'm in
or
it.
we help Maxwood get there. So man, we want to really
Right.
read the final piece. Okay. So now what we have to do is we need to figure out some other key elements here. So we're gonna let's open up a new page here and actually want to make this
But
one.
I love that though, man, because um, I think all of us as humans, we have like our own sort of, there's a theme to our lives, I should say.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the theme is connections.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy doing things more with people, accomplishing things a lot more with people than I do just with myself.
Yeah.
That even the things I do, even writing a book, I'm not writing a book just for me to enjoy. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
writing a book in order to connect with people through the art of storytelling. So
Right.
this
Right.
fits in perfectly because the connection aspect is there. It's not just like, okay, I'm writing this book here, I want to connect with you, but it takes that extra step of let's write together and connect through that as well. So I absolutely love that because it brings together the storytelling and the connection.
I'm here. I'm here with you on that. I'm just over here struggling to try to fit this all in one thing. So collaborative transparency. Let's say we use that as the terminology right now. That's what you're going to deliver to the young adults.
Mm-hmm.
And how you do it is going to be the channel distribution. You would do that, let's say, through maybe Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how you do that is the collaborative transparency with a digital letter. But we already discussed what that is. You can do that through Facebook. You can do that through an email, a mailing list. And this piece, we can leave off this piece for right now. But now what you've got is figuring out how you can make this piece work. Now, here's some other things that you might need, right? You might need to think about who should you partner up in order to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Most writers don't really think about that. Like, I don't really, need a partner per se. I just need, me and, a group of people and we're good. So let's leave off this piece. And usually, we actually should be talking about revenue as well. I'll give you one suggestion with revenue, with the key resources here. Substack.com. So Substack allows you to write pieces, write posts, and then to create a monthly, I think, maybe an annual, but a monthly subscription for people who can only people who can comment, only people who can read certain pieces. Like they're really it can be, depending on the time and the amount of content that you put in it, it can be very lucrative. But this is just pretty much like a paywall for your premium people.
Writing.
Another option is, and I think it has a bad rap, OnlyFans. OnlyFans.com. Yeah, man. Yeah, I know. Yep, I know. It's got a very a very what would be the word? Lascivious.
It's been taken over, man.
But because I was like, you know what? I was like, since you can create an OnlyFans for anything, I actually went on OnlyFans.com and I was like, okay, well, first of all, it is definitely not, anything pornographic or
That's not what it was made for.
But when you're on Twitter, yeah, that's all you would see is like, come to my OnlyFans, or like the random bots on YouTube OnlyFans. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not. So I literally said, dude, I literally said, well, if you can create an OnlyFans about anything, then it can be about anything. So it's really like another Patreon. That's really what it is. But like you said, it probably does have the brand. You tell somebody, yeah, so I've got these letters, you just got to go to OnlyFans. They may think, what kind of letter? It's a whole nother. So you know it matters, right? Perception definitely does matter. So okay, we'll leave out that. But you know, you've got Patreon is another one. So there are other subscription models where people would be willing to pay for your work or to see your creativity, pay for the art that you do. You know, okay. So let's do this. Let's do this. I'm going to put here. Substack is one way. The question is, how are you going to make money? Here's my suggestion, Maxwood. The money generation, the majority of it shouldn't come from your book. Because after the book is done and you send it out, unless you know it's a bestseller, or unless you have a very, 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 very strong, following, you have your 1,000 true fans, you might be able to have more of a sustainable way of eventually creating revenue by continuously engaging with these individuals right here.
Mm-hmm.
Your young adults who now have other opportunities to collaborate in transparency with you. Your first book was about not collaborative, but it was about transparency. You said, I need to be transparent about a lot of my history so that I can move forward. And by doing that, I also release myself from a lot of the guilt, from a lot of the shame. And I have to speak in these general terms because I still haven't read your book yet. I promised you I'm not going to read your book until I write mine. So,
I know.
So, but you see what I'm saying, right? So there is a way to do that. So let's do this. How much time have we been on? Has it been almost an hour yet? It's been
about like 40 minutes.
Really?
Close to
Just
50 minutes.
Wow. Okay, that's not bad. It's not bad. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this right now, guys. So you're listening to us, you're watching us doing this. We're trying to go through a strategy. We're not trying to, but we're going through a strategy session, figuring out how Maxwood can take his writing ability and the product that he's going to have, this next book, and how he can make it a sustainable thing. Now, listen, guys, there's so many different ways to do it out there, and there are multiple models. What I'm trying to show you is that this is just yet another one. And the one that I'm showing you is one that we're creating as we go along. The way that I do a lot of my strategy is by taking some of these models, like the business model canvas, the value proposition design, all of these things, and we sit down, I talk with the other person, and then we try to build it together. All right. I don't run away into some, dark room and then come out with the answer and says, I got it. This is it. I really love enjoying the conversation and the feedback that we're creating. And quite frankly, guys, there are probably people who do this better. But what I won't do is this. What I won't do is tell you that there is a system to follow and that's how I make my money, which is off the system. Now, by all means, learn the system and make it work. There are a lot of consulting systems out there, coaching systems, but that's not what this is about. This is, at the end of this, I want, Maxwood, you might be one of them, but you my boy, so you get this pro bono. At the end of this whole thing, I want somebody to say, yeah, Chris, I need somebody like you to help me to clarify what I'm trying to do. So let's go back to what we were talking about now, Maxwood. You said that you want to write a book, but the hardest part for you to get readers, to include them, to increase your readership was the marketing and promotion. So yes, let's try to build a system around the marketing and promotion piece. It seems a little less daunting now that we're talking about maybe building out this one big letter that everybody chimes in on, right? It's a little less daunting, but now we have to break it down into chunks, right? So how do you propose we do that? We've got this letter, and let's say you start out the letter. How do we get other people to start adding their pieces too? How do we get Susan to write hers and Jack to write his and me to write mine and you maybe to stir up the pot a little bit as a pseudonym and write somebody else just to get it going? How do you suppose we do that? What should we do?
with the using of like the social media, the
Okay.
email list that you're referring to.
Okay. So what if we did this? Today's Monday. What if you said, "Hey guys, tomorrow I'm writing a letter to myself, and I want you to give me feedback on what you liked about it. So tomorrow, you actually write the first letter. No feedback. No nothing from nobody. It's just you. And then Wednesday, and you can even do this on the same day, but Wednesday, you start collecting the comments. And by collecting, I mean, you start responding, and then you start uh, taking note of who's actually engaging with you, right? So you respond to the comments. You may already have their contact information, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
So you respond directly, and then you also, let's say it goes down in the DM. They say you start DMing people too, right? Like, I really appreciated, the comment that you put. So there's public and private.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. Now this can all be done in one day, quite frankly. Thursday, you now ask, and you can even do that on Wednesday, but just the same. Thursday, you ask for the commenters or the likes,
Mm-hmm.
those who liked it, likers, I don't even know what that would mean, to write their own 2 sentences. 2 sentences. And some are going to do more, by the way, right? Some are going to say, hey, I've got more to talk about. And it could be about anything. But hey, do you mind being transparent about, just 2 sentences on something about, about yourself? You saw how I did it. Can you just send something? Right. Friday. And it has to be to write something that's going to be shared. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be shared. Friday. You then go ahead and let's say you stitch it together. So in Tuesday's letter, you write on a particular theme because they're most likely going to say, well, I don't know what to write about. Oh, write about what I talked about on Tuesday. Yeah, so now they have a frame of reference, right? So Friday, you stitch together the ones that fit within the theme. And then you publish and tag these people.
Okay.
Now I'm using Facebook because I know that you're more active on Facebook. We can say, we can talk about going through, an email list. We can do that. We can do that as well. But what I'm trying to get at right now is figuring out what you're most adept in right now. And I think that Facebook is it, right? Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook first, Instagram second.
Okay. So we would use this as a Facebook strategy. There's no advertising dollars going in, no marketing. Right now, what you are doing, and guess what? You do this every week. Rinse, wash, repeat. You write a letter. You get the comments. You get them say, hey, listen, do you mind, writing a 2-piece? It can be featured into the, into the actual letter itself. And then you just keep doing that over and over until eventually you get to a point where you get all of these people, all of these stitchers, and you tell them, hey, do you mind heading off the letter this week? I'll write something after you. So you can now you can now transfer the onus, the burden on someone else who's now consistently been transparent.
Okay.
So once a week you write a letter. Throughout the week you collect the comments and the likes. You make note of those and you ask them, hey, do you mind writing a 2-sentence? And then Friday or the end of the week or whenever you're done with the process, you stitch it together and you repeat the process over and over and over. Why are we doing that? We're doing that because we want to get to this piece right here. Well, it actually looks cleaner here. You want to get to the point where these people are writing in letter form because your book is going to be a letter. So now you've got these individuals. The next thing that you can do is create a Facebook group. I think Facebook groups are overdone sometimes. People just immediately try to do the group first.
Right,
Do
right.
the Facebook group after you get people engaged. Let's call it letter stitching. Letter stitching, Facebook group, and then you start sharing parts of your book. You're going to get feedback from people. They're going to let you know, oh, well, I like the flow of this, X, Y, Z. Now, you got to be careful with this because if this is really about you, you don't want them to really, determine, I don't like that story. It's not your story to tell. But they will have a part of the book where they can be able to tell their story. Right? But not only are you sharing parts of the book, here's the key thing. You're sharing knowledge on how to be transparent. So you're sharing like Brene Brown and you're sharing different experts, you're sharing different experts in the book. I mean, in the group. So this is not just to sell your stuff. As a matter of fact, this is really small. This is a small part. This is the big part right here. It's less about your book and it's more about the knowledge that you're going to be sharing to them. Okay. And then you continue your letter stitching. As a matter of fact, you then might even move your letter stitching into the Facebook group exclusively. Hey, join my Facebook group if you want to look at more of these. So you move it from the outer court. You bring it in through those curtains. Yep. So what do you think so far?
Man, it's very enlightening. Very, very enlightening.
Does it seem doable?
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. A lot, it feels less daunting than when you break it down into bite sizes and walk it through step by step. It feels a lot more doable than just like, oh man, I have to reach all these people. How am I gonna do it?
Right.
Actually breaking it down feels like, okay, I can take that step and I can take that step. That's conceivable. That seems plausible. So yeah, definitely a lot more feasible, I should say, in my mind.
So now let's talk about this. How are you going to make money from this? One of the most daunting things about writing is it takes so much time. You got to build a readership. Some things just take time, right? There's no way around it. Do you think that there is a way? to make cash
That's
during
not
this process.
book sales.
The customer relations part is going to be, I'm going to put here, it's going to be personal. Personal one-on-one for now. That's like especially in the group, in the Facebook group. You're going to be connecting with people. This is the part that's you engaging. Okay, engaging with people. This one, you've got a few things going for you. The channel distribution, obviously, it's going to be Facebook, but it's Facebook using the letters and using the group. And let's say you're using the comments. Okay. How do we make money from this, Maxwood? You're coming out with a book, right? The book is still the thing. That is that. And as a matter of fact, we're going to remove the book from here and we're going to put it here. You want, and this is key, you want collaborative transparency. And this is just one idea, obviously. You want collaborative transparency to be fed into these different ways. You might get so creative that you want the letters not just to be digital, but to be physical. For $5 a month, for $10 a month, I will write you a personal letter. I will have a calligraphist, write you a personal letter and mail it to you so that you can have the letter that we stitched together sent in the mail to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a great idea. I'm going to put that in too. Mailbox. Like you can now get physical with this, right? So perhaps maybe one of the ways that you now get these letters is in the mail. Handwritten. Obviously the book. But you got to find a more scalable way, a cheap product, low end, affordable, budget friendly, that people say, I want that.
What if it's with the purchase of a book, you get that?
Get a handwritten mail?
Or like something not too extra. So let's say the book is like $15. That's the price it's set at. For the purchase of the book, you can get that handwritten, calligraphed letter that you can put on your wall in your office.
So now we've got a key partner here, because now you're going to want somebody who does calligraphy art. Now you got somebody that you need to connect with, right? You're going to need somebody there. For your key resources, obviously, you're going to need something like a MailChimp or a ConvertKit for your mailer, right? For your email campaigns to collect your emails. And that's a whole nother process there too. But I want to add that on there. You're going to need something like a Substack maybe to actually, which can technically beat out MailChimp if you're starting off small, because you can actually track the people who are subscribing and you can also charge them. So Substack can be another key resource. Maybe you need a website. Maybe you don't. Maybe your Instagram page is good enough. Obviously you're going to need Facebook as a key resource, right? Here is where the costs come in. The cost is, what is it going to cost to hire a calligraphy artist, or the costs that it's going to take for the key resources here. Your key activities obviously is writing, but you may get to a point where you're no longer writing. I mean, obviously you're writing for yourself, but you're facilitating for other people to write in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and the reason why you want to keep this in mind is because you want to keep the main thing the main thing. You don't want to get lost in the sauce, lost in the details. You know. Let me erase this so you don't think that there's like another line there. There's a line here though. Oh, whoops. Okay. So yeah. All right, guys. So listen, we have actually just went through in just an hour, and this is no research at all. So obviously I would have done my due diligence and looked up some of the other models. There's so many different models out there, guys, so many different funnels and things like that, where you can, there are interesting ways of how to launch a book. There are people that are doing it very, very well. This was thinking outside of the box, right? Where, obviously you can, here's one, Maxwood. You have your blog, and you then start submitting pages of your book and getting feedback and refining it that way. There's so many different ways to do this thing, but here's the key. I think for you, Max, if you want to not just sell a book, but you want to provide value, then you're going to have to do something like this. A one-on-one or a personal connection with the young adults by getting them engaged in lettering, writing letters to themselves. Maybe every week there's a theme, things like that. And then you provide with that value, you find ways of getting them involved in it. So Facebook, the group, the commenting, of course, the book, but you'll start to realize that the book is only a small part. It's not even the biggest part. And that could be the most daunting task. The most daunting thing is, oh my God, there's so many other things that I need to do. So what we end up doing is we go to, okay, so what am I going to do every Tuesday? I'm going to write one letter. If I can do this on the same day, that's cool. But then Wednesday, I go back and look through, I comb through. You are one that you can get people to comment. I've seen the engagement. And so, you get people to comb through, and then you start responding. Hey, I really appreciate what you've added. Thursday, you may not ask, maybe you can ask, maybe you combine these two. Hey, do you mind writing something as well? Next day, you stitch it all together and you publish it and you tag these people in. Do it again. This is like a 3-day process right here, where people are now expecting you when you're posting to actually create something that they can actually be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? This can also become the book. Because you'll have enough of these letters that have been stitched together, where over the course of 52 weeks, you have 52 letters.
Right.
Or maybe you've done it 3 times a week. So you've got 150 plus letters that have been made up by not just you, but by other people. So this was just a way to get us to look at how do you take a book and make the book more valuable, and to look beyond just the book. And so, guys, I hope that this was helpful. So here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do, Max. I'm gonna go ahead and put in my shameless plug. So for those of you that are watching, 2 things. I want you, Max. Can you? So let's get out of this. I don't know if you can. Can you change your name? Is it possible to update your name or your display? I'm gonna stop sharing here so that we can be bigger now. Are you able to, if there's anything that you want to add, I don't know if we can create that. I think this is not like StreamYard. So where should people find you online?
Well, on Facebook, you have my name as it is, Maxwood Annulus. That's my personal page.
And for those of you, if you can't see it, because I don't know if it's going to show, that's Maxwood, Maxwood, and then Annulus, that's Annulus. All right, it's 2 N's, and you can find them on Facebook.
Correct. And you can also find me on Facebook with I Am Just a Guy.
Yes.
Like it is on my shirt, I Am Just a Guy. And the same page on Instagram, the way it's written on Instagram is IAM_just_a guy.
Maxwood,
So I am just
let's
a
do
guy.
this. Let's do this. We're gonna create. I don't know why I didn't think about this, but let's go ahead and write that
Right.
out. Write that out
Mm-hmm.
for our folk out there. So for Facebook, is it going to be the I am just a guy as well?
Mm-hmm. The way it's
So,
written on my shirt.
okay. Oh, okay. So it's not. So it's just. So when they type it, like they're going to type in dot facebook.com slash and it's
Usually just go to the search bar on Facebook.
okay. Okay. So search.
Yeah. Or
I'm just.
so I
Oh,
am a
I
guy in
am.
the street. No, on Facebook it's like that. Facebook
Okay.
is that way.
Gotcha. And then on
Yeah.
Instagram, it is
Mm-hmm. At IAM underscore
underscore. That's right.
just underscore a guy.
Okay. You guys got that? So on Facebook, I'm just a guy. On Instagram, I am underscore and just underscore a guy. So go ahead and follow my man Maxwood, and let's see if we can get into this process, this collaborative transparency process, as he begins to kind of flesh some of these things out. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you my shameless plug here, my
Don't
call
forget the
to
don't forget
action.
the book.
What happened?
I say as we do shameless plugs, don't forget the book.
Oh yeah. The current one now, right?
Yeah, the one that's already been published.
Okay.
So it's on
Spotted,
Amazon.
right. It's spotted to spotless, right?
Yes, sir.
And you can
It's on
find
Amazon.
this on Amazon.com. Spotted to spotless. Okay. So this is what we're gonna do, everyone. I want us actually, I wonder if we can probably now I'm gonna make it a fresh page. Yeah, I was gonna put it side by side, but people might be skipping through. So I'll put it on a fresh page. This is what I want you all to do. If you want strategy, if you're looking for strategy, if you're looking for a way to do brand storytelling, if I can even spell storytelling, or you simply want to have, here's another one too. You want to have a deeper understanding of your customers, customer journey mapping. So I do some of this stuff in healthcare, but this is now for people who are the solopreneurs, the entrepreneurs. You don't have a big budget. I want you to shoot me an email. If I can just write my own email, chris@bartley.group. Send me an email and let me know if you are interested, or comment. I will do my very best to respond, or at least comment your, well, you probably don't want to comment your contact information, but go ahead and comment. But emailing me is the best way, or you can DM me on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is like, the linkedin.com/IN. It's the BXRTLEY. You can find me here, that BXRTLEY, on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm not really on Instagram like that, guys. It's one of those interesting things where I help other people market, but I'm not really on social media to market myself like that. That's okay. It doesn't mean that I don't know how to do it. I do. So you can find me on LinkedIn here, on Medium as well. These are the two platforms. If you want to look at more of my writing or anything like that, you can go there as well. But what I would say is this: strategy, brand storytelling, customer journey mapping. We kind of did a little bit of each of those things today. We figured out a way to get Maxwood to go beyond just the book, to think about, well, what is the most important piece that the book is going to represent, or the value that it's going to bring for the people who are going to be eager to look at it before it even shows up. And we looked at the fact that if he creates a community beforehand, if he starts publishing things beforehand that gets people involved, engaged, then it's going to be more likely a success. Not necessarily because of the book being published, but because of the community that he created. All right. And then a piece of the customer journey mapping as well. It's one thing to just publish a book, right, Maxwood, and say, hey, buy my book, a new one is out, or to connect with your first and second degree people, right? The direct friends and mutual friends. But now you've got people going through a process of engaging and understanding. Anytime that Maxwood is writing, maybe for the next 3 to 6 months, it's about transparency. It's about this whole deal with the letters. He now becomes the letter guy in a sense, for the next quarter or 6 months, so that now when it's time to do the book, it's a smooth transition. They know what to expect in the book. All right. So guys, I hope that this was helpful. I look forward to you supporting Maxwood in his endeavors. But even more importantly, wink, wink, go ahead and link up with me, use my email address, hit me up on LinkedIn if you'd like. And I look forward to seeing and to hearing from you. All right, guys, you have an awesome week ahead of you. And just remember, strategy isn't hard. The most difficult thing in strategy is what to say no to. That's your boy, Michael Porter. So I just stole that from him, but it's true. It's not about what you do. It's really about what you don't do. Focus on the one, maybe two things, and drill down onto those things, and then create a system, a repeatable action around those things, and you can be successful. All right, guys, see you in the next one.
Appreciate it.